Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us on another amazing episode of Gamified. Let's kick it off by bracing yourselves for the ultimate crossover of chemistry and combat. The chemical conductor turned game guru with a degree in chemical engineering and a master's in biotechnology. His real alchemy was turning those skills into gaming gold with over 10,000 hours logged in first person shooter games. Now, rocking the role of business development at Ava Labs, he's ensuring a snow capped success on every mountain their games have to climb. It's the biotech baller, the chemical commander, the molecular marksman from Avalanche. It's Parker.
Whoa, switching it up. My golf game has gone down the drain. I'm so glad that you chose this one as opposed to my golf. What's up, everybody?
I figured I would spare you and try to recover that ego before we found out you also haven't seen Top Gun. God bless. Up next, rejecting the rigmarole of investment banking, he rumbled through the ranks and had the stones to leap into decentralized developments, both physically and literally. He's full throttle into the future of Stardust, forcing us into the fray, not just navigating, but mastering the multiverse of marketing. He's the wizard of wallet sales, the overlord of outreach, and the strong man of Stardust. From Stardust, it's Wills.
Absolutely stoked to be back up here and stoked to see Parker on the panel, who was showing me the lights all those years ago.
Great to have you back, brother. And of course, up next, this formidable figure has left the firehouse to fan the flames of fortune, setting the financial world ablaze with his fiery flair. This fearless force of fiscal fortitude is the guy who can turn a budget into a bonfire and make cash flow like lava. Representing the marketing marvel at Uptick, it's the mastermind with the Midas touch, the fantastic and formidable Jerry Fresco Singer.
Hey, I will be on my best behavior today. Sam, I apologize for my innuendos the last couple of weeks.
No more sex toys today. Thank God for that. Everybody breathes a sigh of relief only 8 minutes into this episode. And
I'm out.
despite
No, this sucks now. This show sucks now. I hate it.
Yeah, I was gonna say we just went from best of all time to worst of all time. What's happening?
Oh
Sorry,
God,
guys.
I've lost the entire panel. It's a coup. Despite the industry's best effort to break his will, he's the Spartan of Web3 gaming, having conquered over 300 Web3 games. I still can't believe that number. As dawn broke, Team Shrapnel recognized his prowess and snapped him up, knowing they had found a true champion. From pulling off 360s on the slopes to 360 no scopes in Nuketowns and Web3, he's been snatching dubs from the jaws of defeat. Welcome to the panels, the sharpshooter of Shrapnel, the undisputed king of controllers, straight out of Brazil. The redemption arc continues with Dub.
Yes, sir. Living my best freaking life. Thank you, Sam. Brazil was absolutely a vibe. Cannot wait to hang out with my pudgies in Brussels next week. Let's freaking get it.
Crazy that you're already sending it to Belgium right off the back of that. Congrats on everything you guys pulled off down there, man. It was awesome to see. And ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for a powerhouse of perseverance and peak performance. This prodigious panelist is the paragon of precision. He's not just an entrepreneur, he's a perpetual pioneer, propelling business to unparalleled prominence. From scaling sheer cliffs to scaling startups, he's perpetually pushing the boundaries of possibility and prowess. With a portfolio packed with phenomenal feats, this perceptive prodigy has piloted more projects than he's had days on this earth. So hold on to your harnesses and prepare for a paradigm shift, because here comes the prime purveyor of progress, the prince of product and parallel. It's Koji Nagata.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sam. And long live the dildo of consequence is all I have to say.
God bless. God bless the sponsors that allow us to say things like this. I love you guys more than I can express in words. Up next, this legendary leader sculpted the skyline of success, transforming Macau into the shimmering shore of the East. His bold bets and brilliant buffs outshine the savage spheres of casinos, commerce, and competition. With Poker Stars, Alibaba, and Team Liquid, respectively, now he's setting his sights on the scintillating new saga, My Angry Yakuza Girlfriend, blending the strange with the sensationally stylish. So strap in with the Titan of Taboo, the founder who can't be bought. It's Sinjin David Jones.
Thank you, Sam. Always a pleasure to be here. And, I'm kind of not, yeah. I hope that the dildo of consequences does come out again, Jerry. And I think me and Paul owe you a song, because I think you've lost some of that love and feeling.
You guys are pumping me up, dude. I feel like I'm about to get talked into like punching the biggest guy at a bar or something.
Or,
It
or
was
at
all
least
a
just
ruse.
saying something wildly inappropriate on stream so that we can keep the streak going.
Just check it off the list. It has been 0 days since our last incident. Up next, scaling the summits of smartphone stardom. He's the sultan of sensational gaming successes, spinning the saga of wordplay into a smash hit. His spectacular stint with Words with Friends sparked a seismic shift in the mobile scene, stacking up a staggering 500 million downloads. Say that louder for the people in the back. From strategizing the stellar skirmishes and architecting empires in Age of Empires and creating colossal constructs in Creativerse, he's shown supreme skill across every screen. So stand up, shout, and salute the Sultan of Swipes, the Sovereign of Screens, the Wunderkind of Wild Card. It's prolific Paul Bettner.
What's up? Also, Halo Wars. Shout out to my Halo Wars fans out there who love that franchise. That was also something I got the blessing to work on. I'm also living my best life like Dub. Escaped the heat of Texas, was in Utah, now currently in Connecticut to in this wonderful weather, not be in melting in Texas. Also, just working on incredible things with the wildcard team that I get to see the prototypes of right now and can't wait to ship to y'all in the second half of this year. Y'all, it's amazing. I can't wait. Also, just a heads up, a small apology ahead of time. I'm gonna be like off stream or probably in a place where I don't have cell reception for like the middle 30 minutes of this. So if you see me step away, that's the reason. It better not be during the Nintendo topic though. So otherwise, I'm coming after Sam.
We do have one around intellectual property and games again in the second half of the show. If you're not here for that, Paul, I will personally make you pay for it. But our next guest should make up for it. She's not any marketing maven. She's the pixel perfect princess of promotion, the CMO of Pixels. The Web3 gaming universe has got everyone pressing start. When she's not orchestrating marketing magic, she's managing projects with the precision of a pixel, creating content sharper than 8-bit graphics, and flaunting fashion with the finesse of a final boss. Get ready to be pixelated, punctuated, and profoundly entertained. Welcome to the panels, the princess of pixels. It's Heidi.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever been introduced in such an incredible fashion. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm excited to be here with you guys. I might have to hop out a little bit early as well, but yeah, we'll make the most of it.
It's a long show. I understand. No problem at all. And thanks for joining us, Heidi. It's great to have you. And whether he's scuttling through the latest hot topics or basking in the spotlight of our stage, this reptilian regular is always a step ahead. Weighing in at 2.4 pounds, he's the little lizard legend that leaves a Godzilla-sized impression. It's my co-host, Lambs.
GM, everyone. How's it going? Paul, you know it's the second half of this year already, so that mean we're getting a new build of Wildcard like now?
It's yeah, actually there was a preview for Wild Pass holders that happened earlier today, a sneak preview for them that was had my favorite moment on stream where nothing's working and everybody's yelling at each other, just fill the dead air. Hold on, the engineers have almost got it working. So yeah, it's coming in hot. Unreal 5.4 update is kicking our ass, but we're gonna get that done. And then there's all new incredible stuff that some people on this panel know about that is getting layered into Wildcard and coming later this year. But by later this year, I mean in the next like 8 weeks.
Oh, guys, I wish if I could tell you what Paul and Katie showed me
No,
last
Sam,
week.
shut it.
Woo! My heart beats still. I don't want to overhype it, but man, it's really, really, really exciting. And then of course we got STX 3 point, insert number. We're already past 3.1, 3.2 coming down the pipeline, which is really, really exciting. Fableborn also. All the homies in Wolves DAO have been addicted. We're feasting here in Web3 gaming. Who cares about the token price, man? Let me just play some fucking games and get ready for a ride down the coolest, most colossal slope in the blockchain universe with Avalanche, the official blockchain of gamified. With speed that leaves lightning in the dust and security so tight even a Yeti couldn't break through, it's pretty compelling. But here's the frosty cherry on top. Avalanche is onboarding the biggest names, knowing the masses will follow. Konami solo leveling off the grid, Maple Story are all building their own subnets. And with RoboKaiden launching on Elixir this July, more is sure to follow. And elsewhere on Avalanche, prepare for a thunderdome of tactical turmoil, where every bullet blazes a trail of triumph. Shrapnel isn't just rewriting the rulebook, it's blowing it to bits with explosive excitement and fiery ferocity. This extraction shooter is a blast of brilliance, demolishing the competition with its unmatched intensity. Plus, it's your portal to a payload of prizes with monthly STXs back on the menu. Pair your gameplay with Shrap tokens or the operators to unlock a next level opportunity. Huge thank you to Shrapnel for being the official game of Gamified, which is powered by Stardust. Strap in because Stardust is here to light up the digital cosmos with its wallets as a service offering. This isn't just a tech marvel, it's a sorcery of simplicity that melts away the madness of managing digital assets, making every user's experience smoother than a silk wrapped spaceship. Damn, I practiced that like 7 times and still didn't get it. Okay, we're not we're not talking mere convenience here. This is a revolution in the palm of your hand, turning your game from mere twinkle in the sky to a blazing supernova with just a tap. It's like having a magic wand in your game success. Just point and prosper. Big thank you to our stellar sponsor, Stardust, the official infrastructure of Gamified. I'm also going to send it over to Lems really quick. He's got some NFTs from the Lizard Labs that we're going to be able to give away. Lems, if you want to describe what those NFTs are for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We got 5 guaranteed whitelists for our Lizard Launchpad whitelist next week. We just announced we are minting it next Tuesday. It is a free mint, so anyone who wins today will be able to get on that and get a free mint for next week, and then get access to any deals we have on our Launchpad.
You love to hear it. We've got 5 of those. Thanks so much, Lems and the ETH Lizards, for handing those out. Free mints, and who doesn't like that? And also, I missed one of my illustrious panelists. Got confused, my bad. Buckle up and prepare to hop into hyperspace with our next panelist. At the helm of My Pet Hooligan, he's not just playing around, he's orchestrating a universe where avatars hop off the screen with motion capture magic, AI antics, and blockchain bravado. He's built more than a community, it's a thriving den of fervent fans. And like the Easter Bunny of gaming world, he's delivering baskets full of excitement, innovation, and interactivity to his hopping horde. So get ready to be all ears and bounce into a world where every adventure is hair-raising escapades. It's time to welcome the master of motion capture, the Baron of Bunnies, the hair-raising hero himself. It's Skyhopper.
You know what? I actually thought Will's introduction was mine. I was an investment banking too, and I'm a pretty formidable bastard too. We are My Pet Hooligan.
Love to hear
We
it.
are My Pet Hooligan. I am Skyhopper. The others are coming. Hooly hoo.
Hooly hoo indeed, my friend. Thanks so much for sticking with us. It's great to have you back yet again. We're jumping into what's the word. This is a pretty easy topic. Steam users, turns out, have spent $19 billion on games they've never played. What a fucking insane number. This isn't including other platforms with similar sales like Humble Bundle, Good Old Games, Epic Game Store, etc. So I'm sure if we collected all that together, it would be absolutely staggering. I also think this number would be a lot higher if it included games where users that opened up games for like 10 or 30 minutes also got counted into this, because I know I have like 15 that fall into that category myself. So what's the word, panel, for $20 billion spent on unplayed digital games? Lems has the hand up first. I'm sending it to him.
Delusional. We all think we have way more time, and we see a sale and we're like, we should buy this game and we'll totally play it, and then we forget about it in our library and it sits there for 3 years and you're going through your library and then you realize you actually own it way later and still don't play it.
Jerry, I'm sending it over to you. What's the word, big dog?
Um, I'm an idiot. Probably is the word if I could fit that into one word. Because I've spent like $150 on this Steam summer sale already, and I'm probably not going to play any of them. But it's like, oh, dude, this game that I've wanted to play for years is $7. Like, I have to get it, and that is such a slippery slope. No wonder Knock didn't show up this weekend, because if I've spent 150, he's spent 1,000 already. So yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I think we're all super guilty of it. But in the words of Paul, filling your library is the game.
It truly is. We're all just collectors. Graslow in the comments says, I have to admit, I'm a good chunk of this unplayed games stat. TCAF, I can't tell if he's trolling me or not. He says 19 billion is the amount of money invested in Web3 games that no one has played. Sorry, I didn't hear the intro properly. Just in case he's not trolling me. No, it's Steam has $19 billion worth of games that have been purchased but never opened. Wild Paul, over to you. What's the word?
The word is unity, as in we're all in this together, as in I have at least, I don't even know what my portion of that 19 billion is, but it's significant and meaningful. And it makes me happy every time I go look at my digital shelf in Steam and I see all those games that I'm going to get around to playing, y'all. I swear. And it's going to be amazing. And it makes me feel good just to know that they're there in my collection. The other thing I wanted to point out about this is, like, to me, what this reminds me of is just how we all now live in a world where digital items are just as real to us. And I almost use the word reality for this, just as real to us as anything in our real life. as collectors, as people who love to fill shelves, I'm sure we all are with our favorite toys, our favorite collectibles, whatever it is. We know that that brings us joy just by being able to look. And I think, maybe 10, 20 years ago, we might not have anticipated that something that's just on a digital shelf would feel that real to us, but it absolutely does. And especially to this next generation, my kids would much rather I buy them virtual clothes or skins in Valorant or Fortnite than they would actually go to the store and buy real sneakers. That's just the world we live in today. And and I think the sooner we accept that and we place fair value on digital things being just as real things, the sooner we all will be building the right products and experiences for people.
Man, I was just talking with a bunch of creators about how long it's been since I've purchased a skin. I'm just not really a skins guy. Like, it just doesn't do a lot for me. But the younger generations, like, yeah, I boot up Fortnite just to buy the skins, and then I don't even drop into a lobby. I just turn the game off. It doesn't make sense to me. Wills from Stardust, what's the word, big dog?
The word for me is, after looking into this a little bit, is overinflated. Because after digging into the $19 billion
Boo! This was
statistic
mine, Wills.
in
Boo!
I was hoping nobody was going to get to it before me, but I'm taking it now. So I was looking into it, and it was done based off only 10% of public profiles. That's whatever, that's basic statistics, just expanding out. But they also don't account for sales. So a lot of the value here that's being calculated is being calculated around $60 games that may have been sold for $3 or $2 or $1. Like, even I think it was a few weeks ago, I was at the airport and I got a notification on my phone because I had the Steam app on my phone because I'm a psychopath, and it said that XCOM was on sale for $3, and I bought it right then and there. Both of those games, 1 and 2, were $60, so that would have been $120 of value in this equation. Um, and that's just an example, but I think that there's also a larger point to think about here, that like, this isn't wasted money per se. As Paul was saying, we're all collectors. We all want to support the independent developers that are building. I often use Steam sales as an opportunity to get in on really cool niche titles that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to buy otherwise. And I think that Steam sales and discounted games and buying games, even if you know you don't have the time to play them right now, is a great way to sort of, be a part of the community and support developers even in like difficult times where you may not be able to play the game, but you're looking forward to in the future.
Great stuff, even if it tears me down, Wills. I'll learn to forgive you in time. Kay in the comments says, agree with Paul, virtual world is the future reality. The new generation is more into digital games than outdoor recreation. Kay is going to win the first Lizard Labs whitelist of the day. Appreciate you chiming in. Everybody, make sure you get some retweets in, drop the comments. I want to hear from you guys what you think about how many games you've spent money on from Steam that you've never opened up. I know for me, it's at least like 20, which just makes me super sad. Sorry, guys, for not knowing what order the hands went up in. I'm going to send it to Mr. Skyhopper behind the MyPet Hooligan account next.
Hey. What I was going to say is, isn't this just, human behavior in some parts of the world? I mean, I'm not rich, right? But I've got pairs of trainers or sneakers if you're American, and jackets I've never worn. I just like the idea of wearing them, but I'd rather just wear loungewear all the time. I mean, where am I going to go when I'm stuck to my computer all day anyway? I mean, listen, a ton of people bought NFTs they've never used either and had no use case. I think probably over $20 billion worth in 2022. Not My Pet Hooligan, by the way. My Pet Hooligan is the best. On a positive, with plenty of use cases. On a positive note, it actually shows, digital markets are reshaping notions of value and ownership. And all in all, it's a positive sign that some people have so much disposable income. Just bring that to Web3, crypto, blockchain gaming, or whatever you want to call it. Now, that's all I've got to say. I'm in a kind of weird mood today, so I'm just gonna fire off the hip.
You love to hear it. Weird moods are
Yeah,
perfect for this panel.
I'm not scared of disrupting people. I'm not scared of calling things out.
All right, let's get dirty, my man. Koji, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say the exact same thing actually. As somebody who, anyone who knows me knows my office is just full of collections of stuff. I've got boxes and boxes of shoes, trainers. If you're from the UK, that I haven't worn, that I will wear eventually. I had like a fuck ton of records, and a whole bunch of them are still wrapped in the plastic. I think it's just kind of human nature, and I think part of it is aspirational. It's like, oh, I've heard good things about this game. Baldur's Gate 3 or whatever it is. I mean, I played that one, but the idea is basically like, oh, one day when I do have time, I'm gonna go through my library and play all these games, right? And so it's like, it's almost like you're putting the carrot on the stick in front of you. You're like, okay, this is what's waiting for me once I have free time. But yeah, I think it's like anything else. I don't think it's anything too ridiculous. Honestly, I waste a lot of money on much crazier bullshit. So
Likewise, my friend. Dub from Shrapnel, over to you, then tagging in Sinjin, then to Heidi.
Yeah, dude, bring it up. I'll bring you some actual statistics from the sporting goods world. Literally a third of the snowboards bought from our brand never even saw snow. People literally bought them up to hang them. Like, it's the same thing. It's just collectors collecting. I have shoes that I'll never wear, just like everyone else.
Damn, great stuff. Sinjin.
Yeah, I have like all the Total Wars, and I've tried to play them all. It's just that for me, the learning curve is just it's just crazy because I know there's a depth to the game, and as I've gotten older, obviously I know what mechanics are kind of in there, and then it's such a pain in the ass to see how they've kind of adjusted it or how it's different in that game. And I bought like Rome 2 remastered as well, and I just couldn't get into it as well. Yeah, I'm so fucking guilty of it. I think one part of it is that some IPs, I just fucking love them, and some studios, I love them too. But one difference I want to point out is that, my Swedish developers, friends, I mean, their Steam libraries are just fucking insane. But if you were to compare that to like East Asian like gamers, we generally don't have that many games because we're more focused on a competitive P2P game. So we'll probably have like a tenth of what a lot of the Americans or the Europeans will have. So I guess it's just, taken with a grain of salt that I don't think that's gamers worldwide. I think that's probably a lot more Western gamers.
Interesting. I didn't think that was going to go in the direction you took it. I was expecting you to be like, it'll make them look like minnows because, like Sinjin voice. Was Heidi over to you?
Yeah, okay. I've got a few different angles to take on this. I would say my first reaction to these numbers was just absolute shock because it's a big number, and I actually am a totally different kind of player. Like, I don't buy Steam games. So to me I was like, what are you doing? But then it goes on to the other aspect is like that human nature. Like, absolutely. Do you know how many like mobile games I've downloaded and not even opened after seeing the targeted ad that I received? And sure, there's not a cost barrier to that, but then yeah, I'm a huge fashion girly. Like, I've got so much stuff that I'll wear like one time and then not get to wear again for a long period of time. So it feels like it's that human nature aspect. And then my third reaction was like, well, this isn't surprising. The amount of money that is in the entire gaming industry is absolutely insane. So like, I don't know, several years back, I think it maybe 10 years ago now, and I wasn't involved in the gaming industry at all. And I remember hearing, the numbers of people showing out to these tournaments, the number of amount of money being like won by people or being spent in these industries. And I remember as kind of like an outsider looking in thinking, oh my gosh, if you're not in it, you don't even know how big these numbers are. So yeah, seeing this new stat, I'm like, yep, sounds about right, for so many reasons.
Painful but true. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, in a $200 billion industry, 20 years of Steam sales, it's actually not that much money. Park, over to you for the last word.
Yo, because Will stole my thunder, I had to really dig deep and rethink my thesis on this one. But I think everybody's mentioning how games are like a collector's item or kind of touching on that. But I kind of want to push back and say, like, for me, every Christmas I always ask my family, like, I feel like I'm gonna get on this big reading binge this next year, guys. Like, I'm really gonna read books this next year. And so I get like 5 books for Christmas, and they're just collecting dust because I think at one point during the year I'm going to pick it up and read it. And I think like we fall really victim to consumerism with Steam summer sales. And we're like, oh, I'm definitely going to play this game, but maybe later because I'm playing, Counter Strike right now with my friends. So I don't know if it's necessarily a collector's type of approach. I think there's definitely a dichotomy to it. But for me, I buy those Steam summer sales and I'm like, yep, one day this game's going to be really good, just like that book over there on the shelf. And that's kind of how I relate to that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of money in this market, though. I like that point.
Yeah, I could be wrong about this, but I think the term for this is aspirational purchases. It's like I aspire to be the guy who would read those 5 books. I'm going to start by buying it, and then hopefully the rest of it figures itself out. I aspire to be the person that has enough time to play Baldur's Gate 3, which has a 90-hour campaign. I am not him, but I aspire to be. Up next, what's after play to airdrop? We've seen play to airdrop go from being a novel concept that excites people to being kind of stock standard procedure with almost every live game in Web3 doing it at the moment. Metalcore, Fableborn, Pixels, Nine Heroes, The Beacon, Nifty Island, Legends of Inari, Paradise Tycoon, the list goes on. So my question for the panel is play to airdrop going to have more staying power than play to earn in previous metas? And if not, do you have any inclination on what might replace it? What's next? Heidi had the hand up first.
Okay, I'm glad you added me or called on me first because I'm not sure if I have as much of opinion about like what the new meta is going to be, but I just wanted to say that it's been so interesting to see all the variations of these different systems. So Pixels was actually the first to coin the play to mint and then the play to airdrop. So we were kind of like the first people to try out this idea and system. And so seeing it become a meta and adopted so heavily to the point where people are like, oh, I'm bored, on to the next is like wild. And so I'm so excited to like hear and see like all of what you guys just think is going to happen next because I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I would also credit Pixels with that. I don't know exactly what the timeline is, but definitely felt like the big one where all of a sudden everybody took notice. Sinjin, I think, had the hand up next.
Yeah, no, I think the play to airdrop is here forever. I don't think there's going to be another meta that's going to be as powerful, but I want to say that I think that the play to airdrop itself is going to become much more sophisticated. I think it's a great Web3, onboarding tool and creating awareness. I think the differences will be that like the games that are actually playable, that are in a legit beta, that are going to roll into, their actual release or their open beta, what they're going to do and what we've been doing is structuring the airdrop more so with what's in the game itself. So like if you only have a demo mode, okay, the play to airdrop's pretty simple. If it's a farming game, it's pretty straightforward. But if your game has so much more different formats or elements to it, right? Then the play to airdrop can be a lot more fulfilling and not just a matter of like you hold the NFT, you come and you grind and you play the same demo over and over again. Like you could really match it up with certain achievements that again roll into your actual release.
Great stuff. Wow, I didn't expect Sinjin to say it's here to stay. Heidi, the hand went back up. Do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, no, yes, I love that response so much. I think so. Like back when we were doing Play to Mint was kind of like the first version of this 2.5 years ago. The reason we did that is because way back then, everyone was just giving out whitelists, and it was like a game to try and get a whitelist. And we wanted real people getting our NFTs because they had gameplay associated to them. And we had a playable beta. And yeah, back then it was garbage. I'll be the first to admit that. But I think that having like the whole point of play to airdrop, play to whatever is to get real users playing your game. And my favorite feedback is when people are like, oh, I came for the airdrop and stayed for the fun. And we're like, oops, gotcha. You know, like that's the point. Like get these real players playing, having fun. I think 2.5 years later, like the expectations are so much higher. So yeah, having something that's like actually fun and interesting and hooking the player in is so important in the process now. So like maybe that's the new meta is just like a suit like play to airdrop or whatever it is 2.0, and that is like a fully playable game with game loops, which obviously is much harder to do from like a production side. Totally understand, but yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of the utopian future that we've been sold with Web3 gaming, which is hopefully you can take all that money you spend in user acquisition, putting ads on TV or whatever it is that you're spending money on, and instead just give it directly to the players in order to get them to try the game out. And hopefully they stay for the fun. I see you on mute.
Sorry, that is literally Pixel's like goal. Like when we're talking to like marketing and investment and everything, we're here to experiment with player acquisition by skipping the middleman, the marketing, the ads, like just going directly to the user and rewarding them for their time in the game. So yeah.
It's awesome to hear. And congrats on all the success you guys have had. I'm super happy for you.
Thank
Dub, I think, was up next. Oh, sorry, Hetty.
I just said thank you. Go ahead.
You're welcome. Dub, over to you.
Yeah, it's super interesting because at the end of the day, the meta is super linked to UA. And as UA evolves, this meta is going to evolve. And as publishers grow and as like decentralized ID platforms grow as well and become more popular, like what I think it's going to be is more like a play for reputation kind of situation where it's like, yeah, ultimately the goal is to get airdrops and things like this, but it's going to be actually so that you're building out your profile across mini games and across ecosystems and things like this, rather than just being tied to one like UA moment for one game.
Interesting stuff. Let's go to Jerry, then we'll tag in Koji.
Yeah, I agree with everything that all these guys said. I think it's not going to go anywhere. I do. They kind of stole my thunder with talking about acquisition costs. So I will say that I think when you start to see some of these hit games start to show themselves, we talk about this a lot, right? You use that as a springboard for something else, right? So when let's say Wildcard goes and gets 100 million people playing the game, which I truly hope that they do. Um, they'll do a season 2 of an airdrop for a publisher, right? And we're seeing teams start to do that already. So I think that's airdrop is one of the most powerful tools in Web3, and it's a beautiful thing, and make airdrops great again.
Paul did have to drop for that 30-minute meeting that he wasn't able to move, which means I can tell you guys exactly all the stuff that he showed me over the week, and nobody can be mad at me. So, I'm sorry, I can't. Koji, over to you. Koji's dead to me. I'm tagging in Park.
No, I'm here. I just had a call come in. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of funny that, like, when people talk about play to airdrop being the meta or this, like really what we're talking about is like giving things to users to keep them coming back. And like games have been doing this forever. And we're like, holy shit, this is revolutionary because, we can just send it to their wallet. It's like, who gives a shit? And not to discount like people who have done it successfully. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I think that like building up hype around this is like probably part of the sort of marketing skill of the whole thing. But like it is here to stay because we're always going to give people free shit to keep coming back to play our games, to like bump up the daily active users and all this stuff. It makes perfect sense. Now, is Web3 better suited for some of this stuff? Maybe, but I think that like we shouldn't talk about it like, oh, this is dead and now on to the next or whatever. It's just another tool in the tool belt, like any other user acquisition tool or retention tool, and that's all it should be.
Yeah, definitely important to make sure that we don't overstate it. At the same time, though, it's awesome to see that there is sort of a movement in the way that we can reward people because I don't know how you guys feel, but mobile, the whole fucking free to play loop is just exhausting for me these days. Parker, tagging you in.
Yeah, I think like what Dub said, it's definitely always going to be quote unquote a strategy or maybe not the meta, but providing user acquisition funds for users to lower customer acquisition costs is just going to be inevitable, and it's just where we're at in the market, right? Everyone's trying to acquire users, and so I don't necessarily think that that's ever going to change. I do think the next step in the process is how do we retain the users? And so I'm pretty interested to see who has like the next breakout like retention strategy, because I don't know if it's like tying everything together into one comprehensive, questing battle pass season rewards mechanism. But I definitely think, as opposed to looking at what's the next meta for top of funnel UA, it's like how do we recreate what retention is in Web3? Because right now, as we're all so familiar with, is just the relentless airdrop farming, right? And that's never going to be good for an economy. And it's just we've got to figure out a way to identify the correct users. And so maybe that's really where the meta is going to be going, is how do we get user acquisition from these played airdrops in a way that's meaningful for the right demographic of players that are going to stick around and be a part of our economies. So I guess I answered it within my own answer, but that's cool.
Just a quick reminder for everybody in the audience, I want to give away 4 more Lizard Labs free mint NFTs. McChillin gives us a great comment. He says, after play to airdrop is going to be more competitive leaderboard based rewards, less grinding gameplay, more tournaments and leaderboards, maybe battle passes make more of an entry, but with token and NFT rewards. A bunch of interesting things to chew on there. McChillin's going to get one of the NFTs, and I'm going to give before the top of the hour an NFT or a mint for the NFT to somebody who gives us a retweet. There's 20 right now. Make sure you get it in before we give that one out. Thanks so much, everybody that's giving us some more exposure for the space. Appreciate you guys tremendously. I'm going to send it over to Mr. Hooly Hoo himself, Skyhopper behind the MyPad
Let's
Hooligan account.
let's go. Let's go. I mean, listen, I ain't gonna give up the alpha or playbook here, but my pet hooligan street cred coming soon. Keep your eyes and ears open. Sorry to shill, but had to be done.
You have piqued my curiosity, my man. Lems, over to you.
Yeah, I think play to airdrop is definitely here to stay. I think there's some fatigue recently because there's been so many campaigns, and I think some of that goes to do with people rushing out token launches and then trying to ship half-baked games and then try to use play to airdrop. But play to airdrop feels like it's way more appropriate if you actually have a sticky game loop that's actually finished, as opposed to just trying to rush it out, trying to launch token, do this thing, try and get people to do play to airdrop. It really just feels very transactional and more like the old play to earn, where I feel like play to airdrop is actually an evolution of that. And instead of this transactional, log in every day and get X number of tokens, it's like McChillan said, you're trying to get leaderboards. You can actually reward the kind of behaviors you want, and you can weight it over a season as opposed to just doing it daily. It's over weeks or potentially even months, depending on what the timeline is. So I think we just continue to see more innovation on this. I was someone who was definitely getting fatigued by seeing so many of them pop up all the time. But then I realized I was looking at it the wrong way. Like competition drives innovation, and that's what we want. We want people to innovate on this, come up with new ideas, come up with more interesting things. And by having there be competition, then yeah, some of these will be airdrops that aren't worth, fuck all by the time they actually launch their token. But you pick the games that you like to play, that you want to play, and then maybe you get some tokens on the end of it that are worth something.
What a world that would be to live in. Sinjin, over to you. Then I'm tagging in Andy. We're getting double teamed by the Stardust boys up here.
Yeah, just really quickly, user acquisition is really defined by your channel, right? And the distribution channel right here for like these airdrops and who are kind of educated for it is the Web3 audience. And the Web3 audience really is, even in Web3 gaming, I would say, let's say 95% like investor speculators and 5% actual people who want to actually play your game. And so like by default, the range of users that you're going to get are going to be on the more speculative, exploiting side of things who just want to farm your token, right? And then on the other hand of it, if you do use this mechanism more for your gameplay and get them into it, right? I think that, the results are going to be super underwhelming. Like we're going to do that and we're going to go hardcore. There are certain things you need to get into the game on, like, a lot of it's going to be based on leaderboard placement, so on and so forth, and the competitive nature. And I think, again, by every metric, we're probably going to be very underwhelming and look like we failed our campaign. But on the other hand, we're just trying to get the particular users we can, because if you get those users that really are there for the game, become part of the hardcore community, then retention also becomes easier afterwards. And I think that, the first users that you qualify and you really get on really also help shape like how your retention is going to be. The quick example I can give is like when we were at PokerStars and we used to do like these little donkey free rolls, right? And try to convert like free money, whatever, social poker players. They, in the course of earning that money from a small like sit and go or whatever like that, $2, $3, $4, $5, right? They would play a real cash game and they would donk it off right away because they didn't have the skill level and they didn't realize what they were kind of getting into. But if you had made it like a multi-tournament table tournament where they only won $100, but they had played 4 or 5 hours to get through this tournament, these players were so much easier to retain because they had already gone into the mindset of really engaging in the game. So I think if you are on that other side where you're going to use the play to airdrop to really find gamers or whatever, it's a time to kind of educate them also in your culture, and that has to kind of be designed inside that scheme.
Great stuff, Sinjin. Love the real world example. Andy from Stardust coming off the top rope. Andy, fix Play to airdrop. What's next, brother?
Um, I cannot say what's next, but I just wanted to come in here. You guys are hitting it on the head left and right, and I just wanted to come in here and play whack-a-mole with you because the future of, Web3 gaming, right, is just gaming. And I think the future of Web3 UA, if you want to call it this, is just going to be UA. I think that user acquisition is and marketing in general are probably so like maybe the most poised to be disrupted because everything is an ad network. Eric Seifert said that, and I think that if you think of blockchain as just a continuous ledger of your activity and spending and whatever else you want to put on there, having it be recognizable and read by everyone is a massive, massive, massive boon to marketers in general. You get to know who people are like never before, and you can opt in, opt out. You can have different wallets, whatever. But just in general, I wanted to mention that we believe at Stardust this, wholeheartedly, and within the month, the next couple of weeks, you will feel the focus that this is basically our North Star now. I wanted to say that disrupting user acquisition, the big players that own both sides of the UA trade, they own all the data in a private black box, and their margins are 30+%, and you're just basically hoping and praying that they continue to give you the rates that you need to be able to survive as a game. They're grinding everyone to the dust. That's our North Star. So more to come, but we're very, very excited about this topic.
Oh, muy caliente today. Wild Paul's trying to give us Wild Card Alpha. My Pet Hooligan dropping Hooli Alpha. And now Stardust getting into the mix. Everybody's cooking. You love to see it. Wild Paul, I'm giving you last word. Fix, play to airdrop. What's up next if it's broken?
Andy nailed it. It is play to airdrop and play to earn is just a fancy way of saying user acquisition, which is the thing that we've been doing in the game industry forever, and is actually, if you look at any major scaled game, like go look up Monopoly Go user acquisition budget if you want to see an example of this. I believe they spent $500 million on UA for that game in 6 months. The number one biggest line item budget for a game, not in Web3, in free to play, is user acquisition. So the protocols that capture those user acquisition dollars and funnel them through crypto smart contracts are going to be the most successful protocols, in my opinion, in Web3. The other thing I wanted to just highlight here is that the thing that I'm excited to see is user acquisition and these kind of play to campaigns that are all about user acquisition collaborating with the content creators that help distribute that and make that possible. Because there's like a form of user acquisition that is just like, an advertiser comes along and just drops dollars into an anonymous bucket, and then a Web2 platform goes and like places ads in injecting them and inserting them and disrupting like a stream or a VOD or whatever. But I actually think a much more powerful form of user acquisition is the stuff that you see happening organically on streams when like a streamer gets a sponsor and can speak authentically about that brand or that product. And then of course, like the most obvious example of this, which is crazy to me because if you go look at Twitch, a live stream for a video game right now, look at like League of Legends or Valorant or whatever it is, and you'll see like there's this streamer who's just playing this game they love, and then every certain amount of minutes that stream gets interrupted by an advertisement for whatever, some other game or a mattress or whatever it is. 90% of that stream is a giant advertisement for the game, and that content creator gets none of that. Like the developer, the game just sits there receiving all the value that content creator is driving and not actually getting paid for it. In my opinion, that long tail of content creators, the ones who have 100 viewers concurrently or 1,000 or whatever, maybe even just a dozen, are still driving tremendous value to those products and right now don't get paid. I think that's a massive untapped potential user acquisition tool and network, and the protocols that can unlock that are going to have the greatest success. And another way to think about it is just like basically partnering with content creators to help you distribute those UA dollars. And a smart contract and a protocol is I think the most powerful tool for doing that. And yeah, that is a little alpha because we're working on those things, and I'm excited to tell everybody about them in the near future.
Paul, you're killing me. I don't normally know what's actually going on, but I can see why you always leak stuff whenever Katie doesn't want you to, because it's killing me inside, big dog. Yeah, you absolutely nailed it, right? User acquisition, the number one line item for all of mobile gaming, really. And so anybody that can fix that, even by 10%, it's still going to be, the biggest new thing. We're going to move on. Expansions on other chains, doomed or destined. Blocklord's Dynasty is launching on base, but the main game is still on Immutable. But I think there's NFTs on Polygon. Is this something that we're going to see more of? Is it doomed because there isn't enough liquidity on a single chain to support the project? Or is it destined because it's going to be the future of every game eventually becoming completely chain agnostic? That's up for you guys to tell me. I'll send it over to Skyhopper first behind my pet hooligan.
Let's go. Let's go. Actually, I want to add another word on that. Is it doomed, destined, or is it survival? Question you got to ask yourself is what is the intention of expanding onto multiple chains? Is it liquidity, sponsorship programs, marketing, actual tech, or is it there's just a bit more hype at that particular moment in time on a chain than another? So sometimes it can actually just be about survival and wanting to have or maintain some form of relevancy, right? It is what it is. Sometimes you just might have made a shit decision to start with, or someone offered you a nice bag, in which case you're probably a good thing to move on. And you've got to do what's right for your game and ecosystem. We see it all the time as well in crypto. Like everyone shifts focus to what's hype at the moment. Who would have thought in 2021, 2022 that every NFT project would shift to gaming in 2023, and then a bunch of old NFT influencers would say in 2024 crypto gaming's dead. So some chains have had some hype and they've died down now. Some have shifted focus. You need to be very, clear in your decision making and understanding of what you're doing. And a number of studios that have come into the crypto space don't really know or understand crypto space or are too new or green to it. So they can be moved into making decisions that they later on might regret. So it all comes down to intention, and it all comes down to making the right decision. But dude, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to say it anyway. I like Avalanche, I like Base, I like Immutable. All good people, all doing good things.
I can take it. I can take it. Say it.
Your
Yeah, no,
golf game sucks, Park.
let's go over to Koji.
Yeah, I mean, as a project that has assets across multiple chains already, like I think that what we're talking about a technology problem at the end of the day, if it's a problem at all, right? Like if it's something that we have to expose to the users, then Web3 gaming is not inevitable. Like we've already fucked ourselves because like everyone and their brother is making their own chain, their own L2, their own whatever, their own this, their own that, and like it's a web of nonsense unless we can organize it for people. So that's our job, So I don't think it's a big deal. I think that like ultimately, uh, it should be unified before it gets to the end user, and that user experience should be seamless. And people are just going to keep doing it. So it's really on us to make sure that like our games, our ecosystems, whatever it is, our tools support multiple chains.
Lems, I'm going to send it over to you. I see you spamming the 100 emoji.
Yeah, I love what Koji said about it being seamless because there's a line in the sand I'd like to also draw here. I think it's quite common for people to have a Genesis asset on ETH-L1 and then have another L2 like that they're using, whether that's Base or IMX or Polygon or whatever it is, for like more transaction volume. And that's typically like what we've seen is almost a meta, I would say, with a lot of NFTs now, having that Genesis or Founders Pass on L1 because of liquidity. But I think it really becomes really annoying for the user if you have multiple assets on multiple chains that have like high transaction volumes. So let's take the example, we have Blocklords here. They have their game on IMX, and don't get me wrong, the game, I've heard great things about it. I haven't actually played it, but everyone I've talked to actually really enjoys the games. This is nothing on the game, but just from a user experience on the asset standpoint, they have assets on IMX, there's assets on Polygon, and there's assets on Base. From a user experience standpoint, it's like, why are they on these three low-cost chains? Which one do I go to? are some of the old collections that are now, defunct and they're not being used anymore. Just pretty poor experience. And, not to just shit on block lords, I'm going to pick out Shrapnel too. And sorry, guys, but when you guys did a mint on 3 chains, it was a really, really confusing and very, very annoying as a user. And you have to try and figure out why they're on 3 different chains. Nothing against the games, but that user experience is dog shit. And like Koji was saying, if it's seamless for the user and they don't even notice and you're on 3 different chains, I don't care. But if the user has to know about it, then it's a problem.
Yeah, great points across the board there, Lems. Let's tag in Mr. Wild Paul.
Yeah, my word is doomed for this. Generally, that's the word I'd pick of the ones that the options you provided, because I have heard so many pitches for reasons for being, on an L2 or an L3, and 99% of those pitches were totally bogus. Like if you're listening to someone try to describe why their project is doing this, and at the end it sounds like a problem, or sorry, a solution in search of a problem, or if somebody is like, because tokenomics this or because value that, like no, that's it. They're lying to you. The reality of it is there are technical reasons, like other panels have said, for needing to utilize an L2 to run certain parts of a protocol. If you want those pieces of your application to run on chain, you can't do those things on an L1. They have to exist on an L2. But unless that project can clearly describe to you what those technical reasons are, and that those are the reasons why they're making that decision and why they're deploying that part of what they're doing on that protocol. And then, like Lems is saying, as long as they can wrap it in a seamless user experience, then fine. There are fully legitimate technical reasons for it. But when you start talking about it as like there's some sort of value in it, or some reason that just being on an L2 inherently creates value for a project or a token, that's a lie.
I want to hear next from the Titan of Taboo. Is multi-chain gaming doomed or destined, Mr. Sinjin David Jung?
I think the jury's still out either way. I think it really depends on the project, whether they're like in survival mode. In that case, they become grant hunters because they're still fundraising and just trying to make things happen, and they're looking for liquidity. Um, but in the case where I think the game has a clear vision of where they want to go, and they need to deal with like the technical difficulties, like what Paul is saying, then I think you need to kind of focus, right? So we are going to announce the L2 that we're going to, or the other chain that we're going to, and everyone knows if you don't know, I'm pretty much an ETH maxi. So it's an EVM compatible chain. We're not doing our own, just saying that out there. But one thing was that we had a discussion about exclusivity, right? And they said, do you guys want to be exclusive? I said, fuck yeah. I want to be exclusive because I want to be the flagship game on your chain. And obviously they were happy to hear that. And I think, again, like the chains that actually can have a hit game on their ecosystem, I mean, that's what's going to drive them forward. And I think those chains that are able to do that and have that success and have that liquidity for games that are starting off, that might be a temptation for them to, have multi-chain and go on this chain and that game or whatever like that chain to just, again, grant farm or whatever, whatnot. But I think in the future, I think there will be consolidation. I don't think for the users themselves, a multi-chain, experience at this point is really feasible. But I would also say that maybe in the future, 3 to 4 years from now, when crypto has like layer zeros everywhere and they're super accessible and it's totally seamless, that it's just going to be, it's definitely going to be possible.
Great stuff. Surprised to hear that you want to be exclusive. One little caveat here that I've heard a lot from advising different games is that after a year or two, a lot of these exclusivity contracts are running out, and obviously we had a big boom in 2021, a bunch of signings in 2022 that followed, and because of that, a lot of the games that signed back then are now kind of free agents back on the grant circuit, which is interesting. But obviously the way that chains are approaching games has evolved since then as well, so it's a little bit different now. I'm going to send it to Park, then we're tagging in Jerry, then to Heidi.
All right, I'm gonna get some flack for this, but I'm supportive of Paul's doomed. Right? It's funny. I actually brought this up on a call this week and thought it was funny about how there are enterprise level airdrop farmers. Right? There are teams who effectively go from protocol to protocol. raising additional funding from grant programs. And, frankly, I'll get on calls with people that before I even know their last name, they're like, "Are you guys doing any grants?" And I'm like, "At least take me to dinner first," is usually how these conversations go. And I think there's definitely, survival mode. And I get that. And you need to always be building with the game's best interest. And if you can't make it to market successfully, that's, you got to do what you got to do. But if you're trying to do drive-bys on the Avalanche community by running a quick mint to raise funds from, the loyal, Avalanche maxis of the world, if you will, it's just it's really a non-starter, and it's not how you broker relationships in this space. And I think for teams and protocols to work together really effectively, you're going to get the most support from the protocol if you're bought in, and that's just period, like point blank period. I'm very supportive of like having cross chain liquidity. There's so many good solutions with Layer Zero's OFT solution, and that's always good. But having your economy on a protocol is always going to provide you with the most resources from BD, from marketing, community support. And so I really think if you're trying to go multi-chain from a point of user acquisition, that's where you're doomed, because this pie is way too small for any of us to be fed. And if you're not looking to grow the pie as a game developer, and seek users outside of just the protocol, then I mean Web3 gaming is doomed, is the answer. But I think we have some people in this audience and on the stage even who are building for, really building that pie so everybody can be fed. But that's my take. I'm very non-biased, if you can tell.
No, it's awesome to hear the Chain's perspective on this. Honestly, that's why I try to get a mix of some people that are, game founders, other people that are just, people that work in BD or marketing, other people that represent chains, other people that represent, Jerry from Uptick, right, a marketing agency, because everybody has unique perspectives. And I think whenever we put them together, we can come away with a much more holistic picture and kind of how to operate in a way that is mutually beneficial. And there's that vertical alignment. So I really, really appreciate that perspective. Let's send it over to Jerry, then we're tagging in Heidi.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to be careful with what I say because we work with almost all these chains. So I think with games that, like, I'd say doomed with a caveat, right? If you were around in like 2020, 2021, 2022, and you were a game, you were getting approached by every single one of these chains, and they were all telling you that they were the absolute, end all solution to every single problem that you have. And that has ended up becoming true in some cases and not true in most cases, right? Most chains did not deliver on the promises that they were making then. But as a game, you were kind of gambling on like what is the likelihood that they can do what they're saying they can do in 2 or 3 years time, or in time when you're ready to ship. So I don't think that can be held against some of these games. So when you see like one or like one switch, that's not a red flag for me. But when you see the switch from one chain to another, and then like this chain gets hot, so you go to there, and then now base is active, so you launch a collection there. Like that to me screams survival and makes me really want to pull back from what that project is doing. Because I think they are just grant hunting. And if you're grant hunting and like runway is not good, like I feel like some of these games that are doing this are months away from closing doors, and that's obviously doomed, right? But I would say, teams switching chains once, not really that big of a deal. Might have just been, that chain ended up not being a great home for them.
Yeah, well said. Let's give Heidi the last word, then we'll move on from this topic.
Yeah, I mean, what Jerry said, I would agree with. I mean, here at Pixels, we very infamously moved from Polygon to Ronin, and it was a huge like benefit. It was amazing for us. The community, I think it just made sense for us from like a culture and community perspective. Like, but yeah, I have to hop off. So I wanted to pop in here and just say you all are so incredibly intelligent and powerful people. Web3 gaming is inevitable, and it is in very good hands with this group right here. So I'm so excited about the future. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I got to go early, but Yeah, you guys
No,
are great.
Heidi, come back. Keep saying nice things about us and come back.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
seriously, we love the Pixels project too. You guys are doing great work.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah, thanks so much, Heidi. Sorry, we need better ways to know whenever people are going to talk. Thank you so much, Heidi, for your time. We appreciate you tremendously, and yeah, again, congratulations on all the success. Thank you for your time. All right, let's move on real quick though. I got to give a shout out. Lems had a comment. He said, "Well, first, Maddox makes said, I love these guys. 74 episodes. Let's fucking go." And then Lems replied with 70 fucking four. It's insane how time flies. What a journey, and love to see how many people here have been part of the ride for over a year now. Couldn't agree more, brother. Thanks for that little dose of nostalgia. We have episode 75 coming up next week, which is really exciting. Going to do a little bit special, maybe a couple of segments where we reflect on what some some predictions we made at the beginning of the year. Should be really fun. So make sure you guys join us for that landmark episode. And if anybody wants to give us anything to give away, always happy to celebrate a little bit more by rewarding the community that's been here for so long. Speaking of play to airdrop, by the way, also the winner of the retweet whitelist for the Lizard Labs is going to go to Din Harrow, which I'm pretty sure is a My Pet Hooligan pun about bunnies. So shout out to that guy. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for the retweet, helping us spread the good word that is gamified. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't allocate a moment to applaud the almighty Avalanche, the official blockchain of gamified. Avalanche isn't just flexing its muscles with speed and security, it's bench pressing all of Web3 gaming by bringing T1 esports and the legend himself, Faker, into Web3. They're actively altering attitudes and advancing the industry. But wait, there's another ace up their sleeves. Fableborn's new Play to Airdrop campaign is set to astonish. So whether you're aiming for adventure or architecting new strategies, Avalanche is the agile engine accelerating Web3 gaming. And man, I've been playing Fableborn. It is really good. It is scratching an itch in my brain that has not been scratched in a while. So shout out to those guys. And it's time to dive headfirst into the chaotic carnival known as shrapnel. Imagine an extraction shooter so intense it makes a shot of Jägermeister look like a glass of water. Shrapnel is your golden ticket to the ultimate gaming glory. Enlist today, earn medal, team up with Moku, and let your strategies light up the screen like a Vegas marquee. Huge shout out to Shrapnel, the official game of gamified. Plus, behold the backbone of gamified, the official infrastructure you didn't know you needed, but now you can't live without. Their wallets as a service tooling is a spellbinding solution, making metaverse management a cakewalk. This invisible innovation is the kind of magic trick that makes you wonder if they've got a wizard on payroll. It blends Web 2 simplicity with Web 3 sorcery, all without requiring a PhD in computer science. And with 150 chains at your fingertips, Stardust is the ultimate custodian of your in-game treasures and vigilant protector of your players' profits. Huge thank you to Stardust for being the official infrastructure of gamified. Thank you guys so much. Let's jump in to one of one. In this segment, we're going to pick one thing that we believe makes some games special compared to others. What does it take to truly become a beloved IP? I'm looking at you, Mr. Wild Paul. We all love IPs like Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Halo, Age of Empires, etc. But what are the key factors that contribute to that IP's stickiness? I need to know what's the secret sauce, okay? Gameplay, lore and story, art style, marketing, characters, novel mechanics, innovation, feedback loops. There's so many different things that it could be, but I'm curious if you had to pick just one definitive factor that is the difference between a good IP and a great IP that lasts for decades and tens of dozens of sequels. What is it? Wild Paul, over to you.
Man, like picking one is like impossible. That's like saying what is the one thing that makes a movie great, like a great movie great. Oh my god, is it the actors, is it directors, is it the lighting, the cinematography? Like there's no one thing, but I will tell you the thing that comes to mind for me. And I always like a lot of these topics are always like pick a one word for something, and the word that I would use for this is commitment. I have seen consistently throughout my career that it's a commitment, like a long-term commitment to an IP that is what ultimately makes it great. Of course, there have to be a lot of ingredients there at the beginning, and I will give you a little bit of a preview of some of the things that we've focused on with Wildcard to try to set the stage for it to be great IP. But I know that long term, ultimately, it's just going to be about the commitment that we have. So to make that come true for the work that we do, my wife and I, when we started this company, as you kind of know, you guys know from my history, like I worked on the Age of Empires franchise. We sold that to Microsoft, and like, yeah, it's great that people still go back and play it. But I think we probably all look at Age of Empires and think, gosh, it could have been more. I mean, Where's the truly great Age of Empires games that should have filled the time between now and when I left that company 25 years ago? And there have been some. Age of Empires 4 is pretty good, but there's a lot of remasters, and the fact is, Microsoft didn't have the commitment to keep that studio open. They closed Ensemble Studios, and so that IP has a lot of value, I think, left on the table. Same thing with Halo. Same thing with these other IPs that I think we feel could have a lot more potential. And then you look at at the Nintendo franchises we were talking about, and those franchises, Mario and Zelda, have been meticulously nurtured and loved by the company that created them, that has not been willing to put out a bad game in that franchise, and has continued to show up and commit to that franchise, delivering incredible new products, games, toys, films, everything else. And it's really that commitment that for us as consumers, like when a company is able to stick with an IP that they've created and really shepherd that IP over generations, that's how you get something that we kind of all grow up playing and then fall in love with and then want to share with our children when we get older and what have you. And as I was mentioning, like, my wife and I started the parent company Wildcard Playful specifically with this goal in mind. We told ourselves we can't sell this company. The only way we're going to be able to have an IP that truly could stand among the greats is if we're willing to stick by it for like 20, 30 years, like, and have that long-term commitment to nurture it over time. That's how we can get something great. The last thing I wanted to say is it does take a lot of upfront planning and careful thought as well. So like with Wildcard, we work with these incredible talented creators, writers, Gutsy Media. We work with folks who have done research for us to understand our audience and to really sort of build things into the IP that we know or that we hope are going to appeal to the audience that we hope to reach. In this case, it's in all ages, it's a broadly accessible IP, it's kind of Pokemon like. So we spent a lot of time and effort to understand that audience, understand the things they really love, the other kinds of games they play, films they watch, music they listen to, all kinds of stuff, so that we can set the stage. But then really it is just that commitment that is going to make or break the difference between whether it can become one of the greats long term.
Oh man, that was awesome to hear. Thanks, Paul. All right, let's tag in Dub, then we'll go to Lems, then Koji.
Yeah, I'm going to be such a disappointment following that one up. But Star Fox is the best example of amazing IP because it's simultaneously relatable and unobtainable. Like when Pepe died, everyone could feel, like, damn, like I relate to that. I know that moment. They understand the father son dynamic and complexities of the relationship. But at the same time, they know that they can only dream of piloting an X-Wing one day and taking down Andros. It's just something that they can only dream of and never do themselves. So that's why they dive into the IP so richly. That's why guys like me get the IP tattooed on themselves for the rest of their life, not out of just a complete, spark of the moment decision. But yeah, that's what makes great IP.
I love it, man. Dave Schick in the comments, he chimes in on the last topic, says people have no idea what different tech stacks are involved in their favorite PC games. So multi-chain is fine as long as it's seamless yet secure. Couldn't agree with you more there, brother. And then he chimes in on this topic and says, easy answer. Tetris is the most successful game. Why? The game gives the user the right amount of dopamine for successfully beating a level. Very simple. He says chess is another good example. Easy to play, hard to master. I'm going to give Dave one of those free NFT mints courtesy of Lizard Labs. Thanks so much for chiming in, man. Absolutely love to hear those takes from the audience. Let's go to Mr. Koji, then we'll tag in Sinjin.
Yeah, I mean, I think Paul's got it spot on, right? Like, some of this, like, obviously, you have to have a bit of foresight when you're trying to make an IP play, but I would say that you don't always, right? Like, if you look at some of these games that we look at like epic franchises, I don't think that Nintendo started Zelda with the intention of it being the juggernaut that it is. It's just the people who first played it really like attached themselves. Sorry, I had a call coming in there. And that's what really drove people to it. And then years later, here we are with 100+ Zelda games out in the wild, or however many fucking games they have these days, and I think that what it comes down to is you obviously you want to make relatable characters, you want to make the best game you can, and then it's up to the audience to really decide whether or not this thing is going to be a success, and if it's going to be a success, if it has legs for multiple games. There's so many projects in Web3 that are just like, we're an IP play. It's going to be an epic movie spanning, TV spanning, comic spanning, whatever. And it's just like, no, it. I can almost guarantee you that it's not, because that's your like your immediate goal is like, we're going to be the next whatever, Disney or Marvel. It's like, no, that's not really how this works. You got to start with a solid product. You got to make people fall in love with the characters in the world, and then expand to, greatness, if you can even do that.
Big if there. Let's not extension. We'll go to Lambs.
Yeah, this topic is such a phenomenal topic, actually, especially for being in Web3. I'll just say, in terms of creating the IP and stuff like that. Um, I actually did a stint for like 2 years, doing a side job as a fashion licensing negotiator when I was at Pricewaterhouse for extra money and stuff like that. And you get really into brands and stuff like that. And I travel to Paris, twice a year, and check out the brands and do this licensing stuff. But the biggest thing that everyone always said was, number one, is that a brand like takes time, right? It just takes like a minimum of like 7 to 8 years to really be even like somewhat established. You think about how many brands launch per year in fashion, and logos even, and doing that. So to everything's Paul's point, like, absolutely. But to get a little bit more visceral into it, it's gonna sound cheesy, but love. You really have to create something that you love. And through that love, whether it's mass market or whether it's more niche, add something that's really authentic to it, that you could really speak towards. Because when it comes down to branding and the IP and the story and the lore and everything like that, right? If you're forcing it, eventually the house of cards is going to break. If it's coming from your heart or from your own inspiration or inspired by something, then your imagination can really take hold of it. Because ultimately, what that IP will become is part of the consumer's identity, especially in this kind of really postmodernist world where it is very materialistic, but people still have an urge and a want to have some authenticity in their character, and they're expressing it right now through brands and through IP. So, if you build something that's the most understandable and the most adoptable, it's a lot to compete with. If you build something that's really niche and also really speaks from yourself, then there's a lot of depth that can happen. But the biggest thing is that love comes with a caveat of that commitment. It needs a lot of time, but that the wonderful thing about Web3, and it's the first thing that like stood out to me when I got into Web3 gaming, as a, whatever, as a developer, was, I looked at what was happening with the PFP market in NFTs and the communities that were created around that. And I thought, holy shit, like the fact that there are these like 10,000, generative like fucking art, whatever, NFTs that are like fucking crazy art, sometimes like so fucking stupid, but whatever. But still, yet it's able to create its own brand with recognition. Like, normally you'd have to spend like millions of dollars and like years to get the level of recognition and the like positioning that a lot of these PFP brands created. Like, if you were to look at the brand Bored Apes, and not everyone likes the art and everything like that, but the fact that they created that brand in such a short period of time, even like Moonbirds, which has totally failed, but the fact that we can talk about it, it's part of the lore. These things in regular like industry outside of whatever, it takes fucking years, and the competition is just fucking insane. And then you look at the derivative IP, like you'd have Bored Apes, and then you have like Bored Gorillas, and you'd have like Bored, I don't know, Falcons and Penguins and shit like this. And then you have like Pudgy Penguins and Sappy Seals and everything like that. I mean, this is the actual fucking benefit of it. But just like Koji said, it's not about like transmedia, like IP, and what you're going to kind of do with it. If you don't have that depth first, that kind of allows you to like move into the next medium naturally, because there's the depth there. And, like my game Meiji, it's a fucking crazy game. And I'm totally not in competition with, Wild Paul, because our target markets are totally fucking different. But one part of it is that after I got married, my wife comes from a fairly well-off background, and she likes to buy luxury goods. Not just like fucking like LV and bullshit like this, like really fucking luxury goods. And so I became a luxury goods expert, even beyond like what I had learned before. And I based some of the lore off how abusive my wife has been to me and how in depth and the competition of these luxury goods are in the game, right? You don't need to feel sorry for me, but she's a lovely lady, actually. I shouldn't fucking disparage her publicly like this. But in any case, I do love my wife, right? So part of that love for my wife and the abuse that I've taken from having to buy all these fucking luxury goods is, you know, kind of seen in the game itself. And then there's that depth of that comes from that because it's, you know, years of stuff. So, you know, I would say exactly what Paul said, commitment, what Koji said about like where kind of like what are you really expecting of how that to develop, and most of all, honestly, love.
Interesting stuff, man. I didn't expect that answer, but I do find myself kind of agreeing with it. Let's go to you, then we'll tag in Mr. Hooly Hoo.
I don't know. How do I follow up Sinjin's like monologue of storytelling? I can't really, compete with that. And then Paul's as well. But anyway, I'll just say a funny anecdote. When Sam and I were preparing this, we were like, okay, we'll make people choose one. And I'm like, there's no way Paul's going to choose one. He's just going to be like, I can't choose one. And then, tit for
I would
tat,
have
there
just
he
not
was.
even
Just
showed up if you had put that in there. Like, pick your fit. No.
it was pretty amazing. I was just like funny, and it's perfect. Your answer was great, but I'll actually play the game, and if I had to actually pick one, I'm gonna go with characters because I feel like characters will really bring you in. It's kind of like to St. John's point, you gotta love the characters, you gotta love the IP. You have to at least like the IP to begin with. Like you've whether it's playing the game and then you've got an interest in the story and lore. But if I had to pick one thing that really stands out, I think for the longevity and stickiness of the IP, I think the characters really bring it home.
Love that. Mr. Skyhopper, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm also going to agree with the story, the ability to feel something, world building, the ability to actually escape into this world and get to know the memorable characters within it, and actually have more questions about them as well. It's actually what do you not put on the table that people are asking about and still have questions. I mean, the question you had about secret sauce, I don't know what the secret sauce is, but luckily for us, we've got somebody called Colin Brady who was one of the first guys at Pixar, worked on Toy Story 1 and 2 from the ground up with Steve Jobs. You might have heard of it. The question is, do you need to be different? Let's say, for instance, in gaming, a lot of people do soldiers and robots, right? But we know who Master Chief is. We know who Solid Snake is. And the world will know who Hooli is.
Wills from Stardust, can you the last word before we move on?
This is a bit of a steal from Paul, because his points were so on point as per usual. But it's going to be consistency from me. I think that what we're seeing now. It's interesting that you're talking about how do we start an IP? How do we create an IP? I feel like in recent years the trouble has been maintaining IPs and being able to engage that audience that was bringing in revenue prior, without alienating them. And I hate to be that guy, but just look at Star Wars. We have one of the most beloved franchises of all time suddenly, being attacked because, as Sinjin said so eloquently, people are making these brands a part of their identity. And when you see something that is a part of you portrayed incorrectly, or as you see incorrectly, that's going to make you angry beyond belief because you feel violated to a certain extent. And I think that when creating an IP, picking a vision and sticking to it, and as Sinjin said, building that, allowing that to become part of people's identity, and then taking care of that vision and that idea and that part of the people that you've brought into this world, into this universe, is so important. And I think that we can look at a lot of super successful IPs even outside of video gaming. Like one of the IPs that I've been diving into over the last couple of years is Warhammer. It's a 40-year-old franchise that just keeps pumping, and I don't even own any of it or play any of the game. Like I play some of the video games, but just the lore, the universe, and it's been building for all this time, and it's all the same story, and it feels the same. You have no idea where anything's come from, but it doesn't matter because it works. And I feel like that level of consistency and commitment to the people that you bring into your universe is the most important aspect here.
That's a great point. I did feel personally attacked whenever that dog shit World of Warcraft expansion called Cataclysm came out. That was an affront on my entire ego. Wild Paul, over to you.
I wasn't expecting to hear or have this specific topic turn into such an incredible, meaty, weighty topic and have such wonderful opinions shared. I just wanted to like anecdotally mention that I've had the blessing in my career to work on some truly tremendous IP and also some that has kind of lost its way. And I'd say that the difference on the inside of between those two things, when you're working with a team and especially a creator who's shepherding an IP and is able to maintain that consistency and that commitment long term, then those people and that they can tell you exactly what that thing is and what it isn't. And so like, you hear Sinjin talking specifically about Meiji and what it is and like he will tell you could ask him any question about that and instantly he could say, "Yep, that's what it is," or "No, it's not fucking that, not even that a little bit," right? Whereas like the sort of IP that have lost their way or don't have that, you kind of get this wishy-washy thing. You got some corporate people saying, "Well, yeah, Star Wars could be anything to anyone," and it's like, no. Like I know that you wish that it could be that because you want that to be a universal container that can reach every single product and every single person on Earth. But in reality, the best IP is opinionated. It knows what it is. It knows what it isn't. It reaches its audience specifically for that reason and needs to maintain that sort of opinionated stance long term or it gets watered down.
Yes, dude. Oh my God. I'm going to put that on repeat and blast it from a megaphone at GDC next year. Jerry, over to you.
Yeah, as I was listening to all these guys talk, I was really struggling to put into words what I felt like builds a good IP, but Paul just fucking crushed that when he says a good IP knows what it is and knows what it isn't. And I think one thing we can look at, even in the context of the last couple of years in a Web3 IP, is Cool Cats, right? Was a huge IP for a long time, and then as of like yesterday, the Cool Cats community is revolting against the IP that they loved at one point because the people who were running that project didn't know what they wanted to be and didn't know what they didn't want to be, and they tried to be everything. And they didn't know who they were, and they didn't know how to adorn themselves accordingly from that, right? And I think that's just what sinks people all the time, and what really sinks some of these Web3 IPs that have had chances to be successful, but have really started to fumble them. But then you see others that have known what they are and have known what the vision is and have stuck to that. So I really appreciate Paul saying that because that was like a perfect embodiment of what I was, of what I was thinking. Also, Cataclysm was one of the best PvP expansions in WoW history.
Okay.
Bro.
By the way, those
Bro.
teams and those creators, they will punch you in the face if you try to tell them something about their IP that isn't true. That's how passionate they are about it. They will fight you to maintain that identity.
Yeah, Jerry, if you told them that that was the best PvP WoW expansion ever, they would punch you in the fucking face, Jerry. That's how bad that take is, brother. All right, we move on. What are the odds? Telegram game Notcoin is aiming for a fresh start, quote unquote, as it gives out million of Not token. The tap to earn game that earned 35 million unique devices. I'm not going to call it players. I'm going to call it unique devices who furiously tapped their screens to collect digital tokens earlier this year. Later had it converted to not tokens in one of the biggest crypto gaming launches of 2024 so far. Earlier this year, Notcoin co-creator Sasha Plotvinov told Decrypt that the project is aiming to, quote, become the Netflix of social viral games. So my panel, I have two questions for you guys. One, what are the odds that they're able to become the Netflix of social viral games? And two, what are the odds that they can just become a sustainable business after all this craziness and hype and, sort of pumponomics? I think Dub had the hand up first. Dub, what's your take here, bud?
Yeah, dude, it's one in a time, right? It's not gonna happen. That is all I gotta say. I mean, I think they could live throughout it, but trying to say you're gonna become Netflix, man, quick way to become Blockbuster these days.
Nice, dude, nice.
Nice, dude. Yeah. Do you think there's any possibility that they just become a sustainable business?
Yeah, I believe in anyone being able to sustain anything. So even these guys with not ton, but good luck.
All right, Koji, I'm sending it to you. What are the odds that these guys can pull off their ambitious ideas?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't like when people say they're going to be the next anything because most my experience thus far has been most successful companies aren't out there trumpeting in the world. We're going to be the next Microsoft, or we're going to be the next Tesla, or we're going to be the next Netflix, or whatever. They're just like so passionate about what they're doing that they're just like, no, man, we're going to be the first, uh, wild card or the first parallel or whatever. And so like uh, immediately I'm dubious of the possibility of that, but like, man, if they got us talking on Gamified about Cookie Clicker, like anything's possible. So who knows?
Yeah, touche. Let's go to Lems, then we'll tag in Wild Paul.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hot take that I think it's a sub 0% chance that they become a Netflix because they label themselves as such. It's a pretty good way to get yourself not taken seriously, as Koji said. Maybe they become a sustainable business. Like I'll put my hand up and say I thought Axie was going to zero after the whole P2E, thing, and then it's just basically like having a big run up and then dropping down. And I was like, oh, yeah, they're dead now. They're going away. And they've kept building and they've got things going on over there, and Ronan's going strong. So you never know, you can be surprised. So I won't say it's a 0% chance of them becoming sustainable business, but becoming the Netflix, yeah, I don't give them high hopes for that.
Paul Bettner, what are the odds?
I'm first here to ask Lems to take a look at the response that I just posted to the thread in the Twitter comments, for a counterpoint to why this phenomenon is maybe going to zero. It's a video of the Chinese mobile farm network. You guys have probably seen it, or if you haven't seen it yet, check it out just so you can see what you're up against in terms of this, like Sam said, this quote unquote difference between real users and unique devices, which is a very different thing. I have sort of two takes on this. One, it's definitely possible, and we all know it's possible because we've all in one point in our lives, or currently, have been addicted to very simple, very casual games on our phone. So those games can be uniquely very fun. Do I think any of these current ones are very fun? I don't know. I haven't played all of them, but I haven't had anyone yet tell me that I have to play one of them because they're so good to play. Instead, people are just being like, look at the numbers that this one is posting. Look at the whatever. Like, and all that proves to me is that they can attract a lot of bot activity per the video that I shared on the Twitter stream. But my other take on this though is actually very similar to what Lem said. Don't count out those companies that may not be a great product yet, but are beginning to learn how to take advantage of a new distribution platform and network like what Telegram is offering. I was part of one of those type of companies with Zynga, who had mastered the art of taking advantage of the Facebook social graph, and then with our help started to learn how to how to tap into the mobile social graph. And they got it wrong as many times as they got it right, but in reality, behind closed doors at Zynga, they didn't just like the fact that they were able to use the revenue from those things that were not great games yet, but did give them a lot of money. They were able to hire some great game developers. They were eventually able to figure it out, and they put out some really, good games and or acquired them, like in the case of Words with Friends. And I think the Ronin example is another perfect example of that. Sure, maybe actually wasn't the greatest game initially, but it sure did give them a lot of money, and they've been chugging along. And I know folks on that team, they have real great game developers, and they have great vision for the kinds of things they want to build. And so, hats off to those that are sticking around and building, and they may not get it right initially, but if you believe that they are there to actually ultimately create fun games, then jury's out. That may happen.
Jerry gets the last word, then we move on to our last topic of the day, goats versus woats.
Yeah, I loved Paul a second ago, and I hate him now because he took what I was gonna say. But yeah, I think don't sleep on not coin here. A $1.3 billion market cap, $242 million of volume in the last day. They clearly have a lot of attention. I think we are constantly asking for new distribution channels in Web3, but also just in the broader gaming landscape. It's really controlled by a handful of players. So I don't say I think there's a better than zero chance. I wouldn't say it's great for anybody. I don't think it'll be them. I think Toncoin itself is probably in a vastly better position to make that happen. But I would say, yeah, I wouldn't sleep on it.
All right. Good luck to Notcoin and the guys over there. Best of luck. Goats versus Woats, game genres for Web3 games. If anybody isn't familiar, Goats versus Woats is essentially greatest of all time versus the worst of all time. In the past, we've done things like consoles, where Jerry infamously said that the GameCube didn't suck. And we also did greatest IPs of all time. This time, we're doing game genres specifically for Web3 games. So, integration of Web3 technology into these genres. Different things like creature collectors, RPGs, first person shooters, racing, roguelikes, real time strategy, puzzles, sports, fighting, survival, adventure, horror, battle royale, sandbox, simulation, etc. Lems had the hand up first. Lems, your game genre goats and woats for Web3.
All right, I'm going to start with the votes, and I'm probably going to get canceled by all the ton maxis. But hey, idle clickers, send them to zero. I'm so sick of the idle clickers, especially lately with all these games on the timeline. I'm so done and over them. In terms of goats, I think TCG is still one of the best genres for Web3. It just feels like it translates very well. People understand the collecting aspect. Something like what Paul's doing with Wildcard, even though it's not a TCG, I think will still translate very well. So I think there. Um, but I probably have to say like racing is my goat just because of Oh Baby Cart, and I'm an Oh Baby Cart maxi. So I guess I'll throw that in there too.
All right, I don't know how racing necessarily becomes the greatest, especially whenever Oh Baby Cart like barely has NFTs in it. But Koji, tagging you in to see if you agree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Woats, I think, are just like anything single player doesn't really make sense. You don't really need this sort of tech. I mean, I guess you could make the argument about skins and ownership and et cetera, but it's less appealing in a game where you're playing by yourself, really. But I think that the goats like TCGs are an interesting one. Obviously, like we picked it for a strategic reason. I also love TCGs, but like they have built-in collectors, so it's like the low-hanging fruit makes the most sense. I think that somebody's going to come up with some Web3 idea that's going to blow everyone's mind, and then we're going to be like, oh, why didn't we all make this genre of game? But for now, I think TCGs are the easiest use case because onboarding users to the process, um, just a small hop, skip, and a jump from the card store to the open season Magic Edens of the world. Uh, I also think that maybe a genre that people are sleeping on a little bit is if somebody were to build a tactics like game, give me like an XCOM or a something along those lines that's multiplayer that is in the same way that TCGs are a tabletop simulator. Give me like the sort of Hammer-esque tabletop simulator where it actually looks like I'm playing on a table with minis and a base and whatever. And then you get all those fucking Warhammer nerds flocking over because they're also used to spending thousands of dollars on all kinds of insane bullshit. And then just give them like a hey, you can paint your shit in Unreal in UE5 and they all start out as gray. Maybe like the free to play users have gray ones and then you can like paint your shit to be customized and then save that as an NFT or whatever. Like people would eat that shit up. Anyone who wants to build it, just like hit me up and give me like a 1% for the idea.
Coach is open for business. Let's send it over to Sinjin next.
I would say the Woats are definitely metaverses, and then I would say the goat. Um, I think honestly, a different form of a metaverse in the sense that, like, I think Web3, if you think about it, I don't think I think it can be applied to every genre, but I think it's not so much the benefit to the genre itself as a single game, but the real benefit of Web3 is if you were to take an ecosystem of games or a framework of games, and to see how the gameplay and the economy works on an individual game level, and then on a macro level of gameplay that may be outside the game, whether it's clan or economy or investing or how it works within the ecosystem. And I don't think we're there yet, but I know a lot of people want to just say that blockchain and whatever is just technology and let's see how we apply. But I think for the type of technology that we have as a decentralized network, it's going to be the genre that it takes advantage of that decentralized network and the different layers of it. So I don't know if that was too much of a whatever question answer, but that's where I think my head's at.
I want to hear from people in the comments as well. We have one more Lizard Lab NFT to give away today. I'm going to give it to somebody that tells me their greatest genre in Web3 gaming and the worst genre in Web3 gaming. Let's send it over to Jerry, then we'll go to Wild Paul.
Yeah, greatest I think by far, creature collector, something where you like can capture something and level it up and then sell it. Um, yeah, that I think a very very easy number one. TCG's also up there. Anything that has like a people a genre that people are collecting stuff in already anyway. Worst for me, fucking roguelikes, dude. I'm sick of them. Tired. I don't want to see more. I'm just so uninterested in people doing roguelikes with Web3 tech.
Hey Sam, do me last. I'm drawing a graph to help everybody.
Perfect. Paul's taking to Microsoft Paint to tell you noobs what's up. Let's go to Wills from Stardust.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the zero Calvin take of single player games being the worst. I think those experiences are supposed to be isolated, and I think we can all agree on how good it feels to play Elden Ring just in a world of your own. And I think for goats, I would argue that any genre where you see gray markets forming outside of the game, such as MMOs, potentially TCGs, where users feel that they are not able to get the full value out of the game without transacting outside of the ecosystem. Those are the most primed targets for any kind of digital ownership and management, because it's really that's what Web3 is here to do. It's here to address a fault in how these kind of transactions are conducted. So any sort of MMOs, TCGs with gray markets, that's going to be my go.
Parker from Avalanche.
It's an honor to be your first mentor in Web3, Wills. You speak so eloquently. I'm so glad that I got to work with you. Anyways, because Wills mentioned gray markets, I do think that, first off, the blockchain is the value transfer layer of the internet. That's just what it is from a outsider's perspective. That's how I try to get them to understand it. And so if there's no value to be transferred in a game genre, then it is not meant for the technology. And so hence everybody mentioning clickers. I don't know if there's very much value to be transferred there, along with single player games, right? That just makes a lot of sense. And so any genre where there are just a load of people transacting and trading value amongst each other is going to be where the technology is best suited for. And so MMOs, RPGs, I think that extraction shooters, Shrapnel, shout out, is a perfect example of a game that has been trying to find its fitting in the traditional Web 2 monetization rails. But I do think that this is a new technology that I think is really going to help certain genres, extraction shooters being one of them, stand out from a game perspective. So I'm excited to see what genres kind of come to be out of this technology, more specifically. But yeah.
Park, let's go to Dumb Shrapnel account.
Jesus. I agree with all the goats that were mentioned except for Jerry and Limbs specifically. And I was also going to talk about how extraction shooters are definitely the goat of crypto gaming, but thanks Park for doing it already. So I'll just focus on my WOAT. The WOAT's really obvious. I can't believe no one's really talked about it yet, but it's board games. The consumers around them hate us. It just makes no sense for games in general. There's just no market fit at all for crypto around board games. So I hope to never see it. But I'm also going to defend the single player games because I think that there can be experiences like Baldur's Gate in the future where there's like thousands of different experiences every individual can have. And there can be really interesting ways that blockchain can enhance that experience. And I dream of a world where that happens. So forget y'all for hating on single player games.
Wait, sorry, Dub. Are people working on Web3 board games, or are you just saying don't try it because it won't work?
Bro, Animoca's got chess right now, dude.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay, all right. I was forgetting about chess. My bad. All right, I stand corrected.
Put the hand back up, Bart.
Oh, I was gonna say chess, but also if golf could be on chain, Jerry, it would be the goat. Sorry.
No, you
So,
probably
yeah.
fucking bogey that too.
All right, Wild Paul. I hope you cleared your diagrams, your charts, etc. Let's see what we got.
I did. I posted them as a tweet thread. You can go see it. The eggplant emoji is where you want to be on the graph if you're building a Web3 game. It's a 2-axis chart from least social to most social and least collectible to most collectible. Uh, and I had to draw this chart because Koji stole every single one of my good points, and I was like, how do I one up Koji? I'll just go draw a chart. I bet you can't do that. So I just drew the worst chart ever and posted it as a tweet thread. I agree with everything Koji said. What my experience in free to play taught me is basically any genre is fair game for creating a compelling environment for people to collect things and especially for people to express themselves. I think I've told you guys this before, but the dirty secret at Zynga for designing very high monetizing free to play games that attracted all the whales was the 7 deadly sins. So you provide an ability for people to be to show off, to be vain, to be lustful, to be greedy, to be lazy, like all these sins. The better your game is going to monetize, especially if you attach money to those various human urges. And what I sort of saw in that environment was, you know, doing that in a social, like in any kind of social context where you can do that in front of others, where you can show off in front of others, you could be greedy in front of others, whatever it is always going to perform better than, as everybody's been saying, than like a single player game where you know only you can take joy and pride in the really expensive thing you just blew a bunch of money on, instead of also being able to flaunt it in front of others. And I'm not saying this is true for me, but you know, just human nature, right? And of course, like when those things, like we were talking about at the very beginning of this Twitter Spaces, when those things you can take pride in go on a shelf and are collectible and are things that you can just feel like are somehow getting you ahead of in the game of life, even though they're just a digital inventory in Farmville in the case of Zynga, those things are going to do really well too. So on this chart, be in the top right, be where the eggplant emoji is, be the most social, most collectible game or genre, and I think that's going to be how you get into the GOAT category.
I'm reading in so much harder than I probably should and why this is an eggplant emoji in the top right. But it's great. I pinned it up. Thank you, Paul, for the visual aid. It is fantastic, and it does express points significantly better than Koji could ever dream of. It's time to vote for your MVPs of the show. I'm going to send it over to the Jerry first. Jerry, who's your MVP of the episode, brother?
It was gonna be Dub until he disagreed with me at the very last moment. He fell at the finish line. It's definitely Paul.
Mr. Bettner taking out eggplant emoji. Who's your MVP of the episode, brother?
I'm going for Dub, actually. So there you go, Dub. You can have my vote that Jerry would have given
I take
me.
it back.
But
Oh my!
no, too late. I'm going to keep the chain going. Dub, you're my MVP.
Dude, I just won MVP for the first time. Let's freaking go! Holy crap! I'm gonna give mine.
No, you didn't win yet.
Vote. You didn't
I
win.
don't care. I won today. I got a vote.
Let's
I'm giving it to
All right,
Parker.
who you vote for?
It's Parker, baby.
Big Parker. All right, Parker, who you got, brother?
Oh shucks, it's Will's. It was always Will's for me. Sorry, Dubs. I'm passing the popcorn pick. You know what I mean?
Will's, who's your pick?
Oh, it's really tough today. We had so many great conversations and so many great discussions, but I think it's going to have to be Park.
Parker with his second vote. I'm going to send it to Lems next.
I mean, how can I not pick Paul after an amazing graphic? And, I think not one, but two great speeches this episode. Great job, Paul.
I'm going to ask Mr. Skyhopper next.
I'm going for Parker, man. I'm going for Parker.
Parker takes the lead. Koji,
Let's
who you
go.
picking?
To make the show interesting, I'm gonna vote for Paul. Also, I wanted to spite him because he one up me.
Oh, I cut out for a second, or Koji did. I'm not sure. Bad internet. Sinjin, the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I'm gonna fuck it all up and go for Wills. I think he was really articulate. He's a very good Padawan of Andy.
All right, that's gonna give us a tie. I'm gonna give each of these legends 60 seconds. Parker, starting with you, 60 seconds. Big Dog, take us away.
Oh gosh, man! First of all, I want to thank God. I want to thank Jesus as well. I'm just so glad to be here. I think everybody on the stage is MVP at the end of the day, and mainly, I think I want to give my MVP to Sam for just giving us this great platform to come on, speak, share knowledge. I wouldn't know half the shit I do within this industry if I didn't have Gamified every week. I also would probably be much more productive with my time for 2 hours of the week. But I don't know. I think friends and community is almost more important than doing things. So just glad to be here, guys.
Who needs to be productive? Love you, man. Absolutely great. 60 seconds. Sending it over to Wild Paul. Take
I'm
us
just
away.
gonna I'm gonna shout out to Wild Kate, who the only time she was on the show while we were doing this MVP thing, totally swept it. It wasn't even close. The best I've ever gotten is a tie, but I really appreciate you guys giving me the tie today. I love you. I am so excited for what's going to be happening later this year with Wildcard. If you're not a part of our community, now is the time to get involved. So of course I'm going to shout out to that and the incredible team that's got my back, that is delivering on everything that's happening later this year that we can't wait to share with you guys. So please show up. Also, just another shout out, because why haven't we in this show yet shouted out to Sam, the last year's content creator of the year, shoe in for this year's content creator of the year, my dear friend, and the one who brings all this insane talent together. I'm so grateful to be here with you all and to share the stage with you. Thank you for having me.
Oh man, I love you guys. Come on, let's tag in Will's. Actually, he got 2 votes today. I'm giving Will 30 seconds instead of 60 seconds, but he's still getting a little extra.
Speech.
Will, take your time.
Yeah, okay, Andy. You cut out for a little bit, but yeah, I just want to say thank you so much to the amazing team at Stardust, and thank you so much to the amazing panelists here. Every week, I've had the opportunity to be up here among some of the brightest minds in the industry, in this industry, in other industries, in Twitter as a whole, and it's been absolutely amazing. And I think it's all been because of Stardust and the awesome products that we're building, the wallets, the UA, and the really cool stuff we have coming down the pipe, which I'm super excited for you to all hear about. But yeah, it all starts with Stardust. So, please reach out. Happy to chat. Would love to talk to any of you about what we're doing.
Here's the thing.
Oh, and shout out to Parker, because he trained me in the ways of Web3.
Thank you, man.
And he was my buddy way back in the day. So yeah.
Wow, full circle moment for all of us. I think we can all take some learnings away from this moment. Last NFT is going to go to EMR 2006. He says, I think there's some really bad clicker mobile games in Web3 that we could do without. He also says, I think Web3 shooters have been the most fun. My Bad Hooligan and Shrapnel. Big shout out. Doug from Shrapnel, do you want to give us any alpha on what you guys have going on in Belgium this upcoming week in STX 3.2 coming down the pipe?
Hell yeah, dude. They put me on a stage with Luca, which is freaking nuts. I don't know what they were thinking, but we're going to send it. And then 3.3 or 3.2, whichever one's next, is going to be freaking banger. And it's going to be at the end of the month, and I can't wait to play.
That's awesome to hear, man. Absolutely legendary what you guys are doing across the world now, going global. Congratulations to the entire Shrapnel team. Big thank you to all of our amazing panelists too. Of course, Skyhopper, My Pet Hooligan. Appreciate you guys coming out today. Stardust, Shrapnel, love you guys so much. Let's do these ad reads as we close out another epic episode of Gamified. Let's throw a snowball-sized shout out to the colossal force of nature called Avalanche. It's not just any blockchain, it's a cataclysmic cascade of cutting edge technology, the summit of speed and scalability. This is where gaming legends are forged and titans like Konami, Solo Leveling, Off the Grid, and MapleStory all sculpting their own chains on this unstoppable platform. And the avalanche of excitement just continues with RoboKaiden launching on Elixir this July. It isn't just a game release, it's a seismic shift in the gaming landscape. Thank you to Avalanche for being the official blockchain of Gamified. And of course, reload, regroup, and rally round as we salute Shrapnel, the strategic superstar spearheading the pulse of Web3 gaming. They are the architects of your arenas, the guardians of your gameplay, and our sponsors, the official game of Gamified. If you're looking to get involved, there's no time like the present. Shrapnel continues to add more opportunities to engage, earn, and be rewarded. Jump into the Discord and learn more about their quests, the Lunatics, Metal, Mercury, and their ecosystem rewards. And of course, before we drift into the digital dusk, let's shine a cosmic spotlight on Stardust, the galactic backbone of Gamified. Don't miss their latest star-studded innovation, Stardust groundbreaking acquisition tool of users. Stardust is pulling in more gamers than a supermassive black hole, capturing hearts and handles at a cost so low it might as well be space debris. They're not just shooting for the stars, they're aiming for the entire galaxy by nailing the perfect players for your platform with precision, blasting your success into a whole new universe. A big cosmic thank you to our sponsors, Stardust, for being the official infrastructure of Gamified. And of course, again, to my amazing panelists, Mr. Hooly Hoo, Skyhopper himself, Wild Paul, Parker, Jerry, Koji, Sinjin. Wow, Wolves Dow too. Wolves Dow doesn't get enough love, man. I pinned up a tweet about Wolves Dow and some of the things that they're doing as well. I love you guys so much. We'll be back same time, same place next week. I can't wait to run it back. Wednesdays are just the best, dude. Petition to change Hump Day to Gamified Day, dude. Who's with me? Let's sign it. Next GDC. I'll see you there.
Remember last week you guys told me I'd be wrong about the beacon?
Happy 4th of
Oh,
I have
July.
no idea.
Go
Darren.
Marca.
This is why no one likes you, Jerry.
Jerry, we didn't have Knock here. We were supposed to save that one for Knock. God damn it.
Yeah, I miss Knock and his dirty capitalistic ways.